What's going on, guys? It's your boy Jacob from Topside MMA, and today I'm coming at you with my best bets video for UFC Vancouver, RDR versus Allen. You guys know the deal. We're going to break down every single fight. I'm going to go through all my bets, the spots that are sticking out to me. We're going to cover them all, so without further ado, let's get right into it. First up, we got Melissa Cronin versus Tainara Lisboa. This is the definition of a 1-800-ass fight. I mean, oh my goodness gracious, it is a one I want to completely avoid. This is a coin toss. I mean, if you like either girl and you think one girl really has a good shot in this fight, I guess you could take the coin toss, live with the outcome either way, depending on how it goes. I want nothing to do with it. I don't mind a couple coin toss fights. You know, if there's a line that's sticking out to you, I'd rather take a coin toss on a Mike Malott versus Kevin Holland. That's more my style. This type of a coin toss, absolutely not. I don't want anything to do with this. I'm not putting a single cent on this fight. I don't know who's gonna win this. I mean, Cronin could win it. She could edge it out. I don't know though. I don't really like her skill set all that much. The same with Lisboa. I worry about her ground game, but as a whole, I don't want anything to do with this. But next up, we got Aiemann Bekoev versus Yusri Belguri. Now, I took this as a little bit of a cheeky play. I don't have anything else on Aiemann Bekoev just because I'm worried if he can't get the takedowns, he's likely going to be in a very competitive back and forth fight. It's going to look pretty close on the feet. I imagine he's going to have more volume than a guy like Yusri, but at the same time, if Yusri's landing the cleaner shots that are really getting the crowd's attention, not even necessarily that he's landing the more damaging shots, but if he's just kind of picking him apart from range, the shots that he's landing are connecting pretty clearly, that could be tricky. You know, this could look very tricky on the scorecards. You know, I really don't want to get too involved on this, but that's why I played it a little bit cheeky. I went for a same game parlay, Aiemann Bekoev, money line, and 1+ takedown landed for Aiemann to land 1+ takedown, just because I think if he doesn't land a takedown in this fight, he's not going to win the fight. I really don't see a reality where he wins a back and forth point fighting, striking, kickboxing match on the feet against a former kickboxer who has experience against Izzy, Alex Pereira. I mean, it's like his resume is pretty stacked for kickboxing, although I don't think he's some world beater. I don't think he's great. I think if Aieman's going to win this fight, he's going to need to wrestle. He's going to need to take him down. You could have gone for maybe a 2+ takedowns line. You could have gone for that. I think the line for just that takedown, 2+ takedown prop alone was, I think it was like -150 or something like that. I thought about that. There is the chance though, maybe Aiemann gets one takedown. He's able to get to a mean ground and pound position, and it's like, that's the end of the fight. Kind of like a Zachary situation. It could be like that. So I just want to play a little bit safe. I only have a quarter unit on this at -170, but I do like this line a lot because you're basically cutting that -300 price tag down to a -170, and you're taking a guy who really has to wrestle to win this fight. I don't see him winning a back and forth striking match against Yusri, so I like this line a lot. I only have a quarter unit on it though, because I wouldn't be surprised if Aiemann goes out here and shits the bed and Yusri is able to keep it on the feet, use his distance, use the range to his advantage. I would not be completely mind blown about that, so I want to take this one light, but I do like this play, so I got a quarter unit on it. I thought about going with a half unit, but I was like, just do a quarter unit, call it a day. But that does it for this one. But next up, we got Stephanie Luciano versus Ravena Oliveira. Now, I like Stephanie Luciano in the spot a lot. You know, I really think she's just the better girl all around. She's been on a nice little streak. You know, she's had this momentum going. I know it includes that loss to Sam Hughes, but she's still continually getting better and improving, and she's keeping this momentum. You know, she's keeping the pace going. She's riding her career. She's aging. She's getting better and better. Whereas Oliveira, she had a terrible knee injury, had to have a surgery, took a lot of time off. She's coming down a weight class. We don't know how she's going to look at this weight class. And skill for skill, I like Stephanie Luciano anyway in the spot. So I really think she should be able to win the spot. And if she is able to win this, I really do think it's going to be over 1.5 rounds. Now, Stephanie Luciano, she isn't really a killer. She does have some knockouts, and it's kind of funny. I was like looking at her record, her knockout wins actually are underneath 1.5 rounds. So I do have that little concern of like, oh, what if she gets and they're close though. It's like they were both like, she has, I think it was round two knockouts, 2 of them, and they were all like 1.5 minutes in, like just under. But I think in the spot, you know, Oliveira, her best shot is probably to grapple. I think there is probably going to be a lot of scrambling back and forth, kind of like her fight against Lisboa. And I think Stephanie Luciano should still be able to survive here, and I think she should be able to take this over the 1.5 line. I do think this goes over. It's a little bit cheekier of a play. If you wanted to play this as just Stephanie Luciano money line, maybe parlay it up with something else, you could do that and it would make a lot of sense. And honestly, the more I think about it, that's probably what I should have done. I already got it placed though. I can't take this one out. That's why I was like, I feel like the better move might have been to just put Stephanie Luciano, maybe just by herself, -298, I believe, -300 pretty much. You could do that as single, or maybe you parlay her up with another really safe line that you like. In hindsight, I think that's probably the better move, but I keep going back and forth, and I already got it placed, though. It is what it is at this point, but I got it as -195, Stephanie Luciano, in over 1.5 rounds, half a unit, to make 0.26 units back. Does it for this one. Next up, we got Prepolec versus Drew Dober. Now, I don't have anything on this in terms of singles, but I will say there is some potential live betting opportunity on Drew Dober. You know, I think this line is tightening up, and I think if this first round is competitive and Drew Dober just doesn't run right through Prepolec, I imagine this line will tighten. The striking on the feet, Drew Dober should be better. Hope to God he's going to be better. And in that case, even if he is the better striker, I do think it'll be decently close enough to the point where this line could tighten a bit. If it does tighten, I'm not expecting it to get to like a pick'em odds. I'm just saying if we can get that minus 500 price tag, if it can get back down to maybe a minus 200 or better, I think it could be worth a shot depending on how Drew Dober's chin holds up. I kind of put that at the end here just because Drew Dober's chin, it has been a problem in the past, but I think if it holds up early on, I think it could be worth a potential live betting spot. It's just if we see him get clipped right away and he gets his chin completely cracked and he's able to maybe survive through the round, at that point, I don't know if I'd play something on him if his chin gets cracked that badly because he might be compromised for the remainder of the fight. And we know Prepolec does have a decent durability. He's never been knocked out before. He's been able to go longer. So I do have that concern. If we see Dober's chin look pretty bad early on, I don't know if I will get onto this type of a spot. But if it's just competitive back and forth, I think Dober's the better fighter all around. So he should be able to win this fight. And if that line tightens, could be a good value spot. Especially if he comes in here striking. If he comes out here and grapples like he probably should, if he was sticking to a smart game plan, he'd probably come out here and wrestle and try and grapple. Is Drew Dober going to do that? Probably not. So I don't imagine this line to skyrocket the other way and have him become a minus 1,000 favorite right away. If he were to grapple and go for takedowns, it probably would. He'd probably look like a minus 1,000. But is he going to do that? Probably not. So that's why I expect if this is even remotely competitive on the feet, he's not going to make some minus 400 or 500 favorite when the bookies know that his chin has been a problem in the past. So we'll have to see how this one goes. It's just the potential. I wanted to tell you guys about it. But next up, we got Danny Barlos versus Jourdain Santos. Kind of similar. I don't want to get on Danny Barlow at this minus 300 price tag. I think it's way too wide. But at the same time, I think there could be some potential live betting opportunities for this fight. Maybe it's back and forth. Danny Barlow isn't the highest volume of a striker. He can give rounds up, just kind of being a little bit passive, waiting for that counter shot, that left hand he likes to land. If he's trying to be passive, Jourdain Santos does have decent volume. Jourdain Santos can probably out-volume him in this fight. And even if he's not landing the more damaging shots, maybe his pitter-patter, maybe the volume just stacks up over time, starts to make this fight a lot closer than it should be. And at that point, if we can get Danny Barlow at maybe a minus 120, maybe a minus 150, I think it could be worth a live sprinkle, a little live bet money line sprinkle on Danny Barlow, just because I don't think Jourdain Santos is that good. I think the UFC wants Danny Barlow to do well. This is kind of like a setup for him. This is like I don't want to say a layup, but this is a fight that was made for Danny Barlow to really bounce back from a bad loss. He should be able to shine here. Left hand to God. They want him to do better. Jourdain Santos, at this point, he's almost like a throwaway for the UFC. I feel like they're not really doing him any favors after he fumbled that Ozzy Diaz bag. So we'll have to see how this one goes, though. I really don't love Danny Barlow at middleweight. I don't think he's all that lean. I don't really think he should be here, so I don't want anything on him ahead of this fight. We've never seen him before at a middleweight in the UFC, so we're going to have to be very cautious with him at this weight class. So I'm waiting on this, but the live betting opportunity could be there. We'll have to see how he goes. Next up, we got Bruno Silva versus HyunSung Park. This is one where I got a little bit of action, but it's just kind of sprinkled all over. It's kind of a clusterfuck here, but we're going to go over it. Now, first up, I got Bruno Silva plus 7.5 alternate spread. I pretty much put this on him in all of his fights, and I know the last two have been rough, but I'm hoping this time he cashes us out. Now, I do have the last two bets on this little streak here. HyunSung Park via round 2 KO and round 3 KO. I have these as little Hail Mary sprinkles, plus 900 for HyunSung Park via round 2 knockout. HyunSung Park round 3 knockout at plus 2,000. I have 0.02 units on each of those, just as kind of a flyer, because if Bruno Silva gets knocked out here, I imagine it would be later in the fight. And if he does get knocked out, obviously that plus 7.5 alternate spread will not cash. But I will say, guys, I do like this as a bit of a hedge. You know what I mean? If Bruno Silva gets knocked out in this fight, I would imagine it would be over 1.5 rounds. So if you wanted to play the Bruno Silva alternate spread and hedge it with the HyunSung Park late knockout props, I really like that spot a lot. It's a little cheeky because, if Bruno Silva does make it to a decision, I can't imagine a world where he is not getting a single point on a single judge's scorecard. I just can't see that. If he somehow gets to that situation, then he's washed. I will admit he's probably washed at that point because HyunSung Park is beatable. As we've seen in his last fight against Tatsuro Taira, he got dog walked by a high level fighter, and Bruno Silva is high level. He's losing to the best of the best, so I don't want to give him too much shit for those last losses. You know what I mean? They're pretty good. But anyway, besides that, I got Bruno Silva knockout only, submission or decision, no action, plus 175 at 0.1 units. I played this one a little bit lighter. I could have gone for the finish only prop, but I played this one a little bit lighter because there is a real chance that HyunSung Park could knock out Bruno Silva. That's a potential. So I played that one a tad bit lighter, and the odds aren't as great for it. And I went a little heavier on the sub only prop. Bruno Silva sub only, KO or decision, no action. No action meaning if the sub only, not KO or decision, no action would mean for that particular bet, if there's a knockout or a decision, no matter who wins or loses, you would get a refund on your money. The bet only wins or loses if there's a submission. Same for the KO only. It only hits or loses if there's a knockout. You guys get what I'm saying here? But yeah, I put the sub only prop a little bit heavier here because it's plus 380. I think if anyone's getting submitted in the spot, it's damn sure not Bruno Silva. How the hell, HyunSung Park, if he submits Bruno Silva, I will be extremely surprised and I will be eating my words here. But I really just do not think that happens. I think if HyunSung Park is going to win, it's going to be because he's going to be the quicker, more agile striker, the younger guy on the feet. I think that's his way to win here, not through the grappling. You know, Bruno Silva is a high-level grappler. I'm not too worried about his grappling. So I got 0.15 units plus 380. Bruno Silva sub only, KO decision, no action to bring home over half a unit. So I like the odds a lot on this one. I almost thought about going even heavier on this because I think there's a ton of value. But instead of doing that, I ended up just playing a tiny little sprinkle, 0.05 units on Bruno Silva via submission. Plus 1200 is absolutely insane. I think it's crazy value because we just saw Tatsuro Taira drop HyunSung Park and submit his ass. And I think Bruno Silva has the power to do the same, drop him, and I think he has the grappling abilities to wrap up a submission against a guy like HyunSung Park, because that really wasn't even a cardio thing. It was just HyunSung Park was completely outmatched, and we haven't seen HyunSung Park really perform well against any high-level guys, and Bruno Silva is a high-level guy. Despite the last 2 losses, he is still a very high-level fighter. Got to put some respect on his name. Riding with Bruno Silva this week. I know it's kind of a bunch of different little props there. But yeah, I like Bruno Silva. I just didn't want to overextend because there's a real chance that HyunSung Park could win this fight. You know, he's young. He's going to be faster. He has more upside in terms of his future career potential and his trajectory of his career. So I get why people are taking HyunSung Park, but I like Bruno Silva. But in terms of the next couple fights, we got Charles Jourdain versus Davey Grant. You know, we're going to talk about this one a little bit later. We got a little bit later on about this one. But Kyle Nelson versus Matt Frevola, nothing on this one. It's another coin toss I want nothing to do with. I really just want to sit back, watch this one. I think it's going to be a bar burner. If you're going to take anything on this prop, I would rather take the unders. I do not see this one going to a decision. I think someone's probably going to get knocked out. And yeah, I have Matt Prevola as the pick, but I'm not super confident in it. I think either guy could win the spot. It's going to be a tricky one, but no bets. And then next up, Cody Gibson versus Aoriqileng. I like Cody Gibson money line. I just haven't been able to get there yet. You know, I just haven't been able to go and pull the trigger on it. I'm kind of waiting to see how the earlier fights go because I do have some action on Aiemann, Stephanie Luciano. I have some action on Charles Jourdain we're going to talk about, and I have some action on Bruno Silva. So if things go well throughout the night, I might put a little sprinkle on Cody Gibson because we've got a little bit of wiggle room. But if not, you know, if someone shits the bed and shit starts to go wild and go downhill, I'm not going to put anything on this one. I'd rather just avoid it just because Cody Gibson, we know he can start to slow down later in fights. So there is that chance that he loses, even though I think he's the better fighter all around. I think he really should win the spot. You got Unk versus Unk. Anything can happen. It's just, if I were to put any bet on this fight, I would do Cody Gibson money line. And I think the people who are placing that bet, it makes sense. I like it. It's just trying to limit my risk here. I'm going to wait and see how the earlier fights go. If everything goes well, like I said, might have a little action, but I'm not talking nothing more than a quarter unit I'd probably put on the Cody Gibson money line. I just don't want to get that too far invested in it. But anyway, next up, we got Manon Fiorot versus Jasmine Jasudavicius. You know, I like Manon Fiorot in the spot. I'm kind of going with like the double cheeky. I'm hoping this works out. You know, sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. I'm less worried about this one, honestly, taking Manon Fiorot in over 2.5 rounds to really cut that money line down. I think this does go a lot longer. I'm pretty confident in this going over 2.5 rounds. It's kind of like the Stephanie Luciano and over 1.5. I'm honestly more worried about this one, Stephanie Luciano, as opposed to Manon Fiorot and Jasmine Jasudavicius, just because these girls, Jasmine and Manon, they're both a lot more tested and battle proven at a high level, so I have a lot more faith in their durability as opposed to Stephanie Luciano and Ravenna Oliveira haven't been proven as much. So I do. If I were to place either of these two, honestly, I'd recommend probably just taking the Manon Fiorot and overprop, unless you really think Jasmine Jasudavicius has a really good chance to win this week, because she's definitely in this fight. She's not out of it. But anyway, in terms of what I got Manon Fiorot in over 2.5 rounds, minus 155, just a quarter unit. I'm playing this one lighter, just because I'm taking a little sprinkle. I think if Manon Fiorot wins this fight, it's going to be going long. I don't see her knocking out Jasmine Jasudavicius. Neither of these girls have been finished. These girls are both extremely durable. I like the overprop on this. I know it's extremely wide, but I think out of any two girls, these are two of the most durable and the toughest girls in the entire division. I mean, they are built to last. We don't see them get knocked out. I mean, we literally saw Manon Fiorot in her last fight against Valentina Shevchenko. She broke her nose in the first round and went all 5 rounds with arguably the GOAT of the division. If that's not durability, I don't know what is. And that's the thing. Jasmine's not going to be punching to break her nose. Jasmine's going to be taking her down. And I don't think Manon Fiorot would ever get submitted by Jasmine Jasudavicius. She's more of a pressure-heavy, control you on the ground type of a grappler. Yeah, she can submit girls like Andrade, who's really just not even... Who knows where her mentality's at this point, and she kind of gave that one up. Manon Fiorot is not going to give those takedowns up. Her 87% takedown defense, I think this is going to be back and forth. Now, I could see Jasmine coming out here and looking like a bit of what's her name? Patchy Mex's girlfriend. I'm blanking on her damn name. You guys know exactly who I'm talking about. She just fought Amanda Lemos. Why am I blanking on her name? You guys know who I'm talking about. It could look like her in this spot. I mean, in terms of not even necessarily landing the takedowns, but just holding her against the cage and just controlling her against the cage and just really wearing her down. Even if that does happen, if that were to happen, it's still going to go over. I don't see a submission happening. I'm still blanking on her damn name. Amanda Lemos just fought her and she just beat Amanda Lemos. Why am I blanking on her name? I'm going to remember this like right after I finish this video. But anyways, that does it for that one. That's all I got. I got a little sprinkle. I also thought about Manon Fiorot money line just straight up. I think is actually good value. I think it's pretty solid. It's a good option if you guys want to play that. I have her in some later stuff that we're going to talk about, so I don't have anything on this just yet. If everything is going really well on the night, though, I will say I'm considering placing maybe another quarter unit on a Manon Fiorot money line straight up. I'm considering that. You know, I do think it's a good option. I think it's a good bet. There's some good value there. I just don't have anything on her yet. I'm kind of waiting for these earlier fights to go down as we talked about, but that does it for that one. Next up, we got Marlon Vera versus Aiemann Zahabi. Now, I'm waiting on this. I don't have any action. I do have some stuff in a later parlay we're going to talk about here in a second. But, you know, I think there's potential live money line bets potential for Marlon Vera. You know, I do think at any point in this fight, he has the finishing capabilities. He's going to be the more durable fighter between the two of them. And I think it could be worth it. You know, if he becomes a huge underdog at any given point, it could be worth a little sprinkle because I could see him coming back later into the fight when he starts to ramp it up. Or on the contrary, on the other hand, I could see him having a slow start in the first round, really kind of falling behind early on, but then starting to ramp it up the later the fight goes on. So if he becomes like a huge underdog within the first round, he's still going to be very live to come back and win. So if he's a huge underdog by the end of the first round and he's not on death's door about to get knocked out or something absolutely crazy, I think it could be worth a live money line bet on a Marlon Vera. We'll just have to see how that goes. But in terms of before the fights, no singles here. And then Kevin Holland versus Mike Malott. Kind of the same thing here. I'm considering a Kevin Holland money line. Same thing with like a Cody Gibson, Manon Fiorot. I'm kind of waiting for these earlier fights to go down, see how they go. I'm going to have something on Kevin Holland. I'm saying this right now. I'm guaranteed going to have something on Kevin Holland. I'm only human. Kevin Holland is my boy. I'm going to ride with him. It's just a matter of how much. I don't think I'm going to go crazy. I think I'm just going to probably have a quarter unit. Maybe I take it a little bit lighter, but I go for a Kevin Holland prop. I don't know. Something that's really just kind of not advisable, just kind of for the laughs, for the memes. I like Kevin Holland, though. I think he can win this fight. I think he has a very good shot of winning this fight. So, quarter unit tops, though. Quarter unit tops on Kevin Holland. I'm just going to wait and see how these earlier fights go. Yeah, I don't want to overextend on this one, even though Kevin Holland is my boy. I think he should win this fight. But anyway, next up, we got RDR versus Brendan Allen. Brendan Allen, I really think should lose the spot. You know, I think his best shot, he's going to look the best early on, and then I think he's going to start to fade the longer this fight goes on. So, I like RDR on the spot. I'm considering the money line, just like with Kevin Holland, just like with Manon Fiorot, just like with Cody Gibson. I'm waiting to see how the earlier fights go, and I already have some action on RDR, so I'm kind of hanging off on this one a little bit more than these others because I don't have as much action. I don't have anything else on Kevin Holland or Cody Gibson, so it's a little bit different. But you know what? If everything is going really well, I might double down just a tad on RDR because I really do think he wins this fight. And I'm looking for the live betting spots, though. I genuinely do think this is a really good live betting opportunity for RDR. I think round 3 RDR could be very live, or even round 2, maybe even late round 1. You know, if RDR drops to a pick'em, I will be doubling down on RDR in a pick'em situation. I will tell you guys that right now because I do think he's going to look better and better the longer this fight goes on, and I think the exact opposite with Brendan Allen. He's going to look worse and worse the longer this fight goes on. But anyway, in terms of the parlays, play of the week, you already know. Charles Jourdain money line. I really like him in the spot. We already talked about it, broke it down. If you guys haven't seen those videos yet, go watch my recent videos. I talk about this, especially in the locks and traps. I talk about my reasons for liking Jourdain a lot. I have him as my lock of the week. I have him here. Minus 170. This is when I got it, you know, or play of the week. Charles Jourdain money line straight up, minus 170. I know it's minus 180 at this point. It's gotten a little bit wider, which I was like about to question my sanity because I placed this bet and I was like, all right, this is my play of the week. I really like this. And then it dropped. It was like a minus 166. I'm like, am I missing something here? But now it's finally going the other way. Thank goodness. That's where it should be going. That actually made me a little bit more confident. And not really. I mean, that doesn't really affect my opinion. It's just more so like, okay, at least other people are finally starting to realize Charles Jourdain should win this damn fight. But anyway, I got him as my play of the week. Minus 170, like I said, minus 180 now. 1 unit on that. I also had this option. If you guys want to play a little more safely, if you don't really you're not as confident in Charles Jourdain as I am, you could do Charles Jourdain plus 3.5 alternate spread, and you could do Fiorot versus Jasudavicius over 2.5 rounds for basically the same exact odds. 1 unit basically wins you the same amount. I like this spot a lot. I didn't want to go too far heavy on Charles Jourdain because Davey Grant is still a live dog. He's still very live. There's a chance he could win this fight, so I don't want to go all in on Charles Jourdain. And if you like this, though, I mean, you could, because at this point, he could still lose a decision where he wins 1 round on all 3 judges' scorecards. He could still cash this bet, even if he doesn't win the fight. And I don't think he's going to get finished. Charles Jourdain is not going to get finished by Davey Grant. If he does, I'm gonna be pissed because I just can't see a world where that happens. But anyway, that's like my alternate. I did play of the week, like safer version. Just because if you guys like this, I want to point it out to you. I thought about putting another half unit on this because I really do like this play a lot. I think this is. I don't want to jinx it. The second you say I'm really confident, it's gonna just. Jasmine's going to get a round 1 knockout in under 30 seconds. But I do like this spot a lot. I will say it's a good secondary option. I'm considering even putting a half unit on there. I just haven't got there yet. But in terms of my other parlays, I got a parlay on Fiorot versus Jasudavicius over 2.5 rounds. And I got Marlon Vera plus 7.5 alternate spread. 1 unit on this minus 227. I think this is a pretty safe bet. I was looking through Zahabi's lines. Any decision he's gone to, he's not beating anyone. This plus 7.5 for Zahabi's opponents is not cashing in any of his fights, if that makes sense. He's cashed it in every single fight for his opponent, rather, because he makes fights a lot closer than they should be. And I think Cheeto is extremely live. He's durable. I like his speed. I like his power. I think he's going to be very, very live in this fight to even win the entire thing. I don't think he's getting finished. I think this plus 7.5 is a very, very solid parlay line here. I got it paired up with Fiorot versus Jasmine Jasudavicius over 2.5 rounds. These girls are both extremely durable. We already talked about that. We've literally seen Fiorot go 5 rounds with a broken nose on some Justin Gaethje type of shit, and I think she's really durable. She can keep it on the feet. I like her takedown defense. And Jasmine Jasudavicius, she has a chin on her. I mean, you cannot put Jasmine out, and if you do, for whatever reason, Fiorot's not a power puncher either. So that's, on one hand, Fiorot is not a power puncher, and on the second hand, Jasmine has a damn good chin, and if for whatever reason Jasmine were to get hurt, she's just going to shoot a takedown. She's just going to initiate the clinch against the cage, and then you're stuck there. Do I think Fiorot's going to get a guillotine on Jasmine while she's going for a takedown? We haven't seen it yet. She's never got a submission win. So if this is the first time, then screw me. But yeah, I really like this spot a lot. Like, I got a 1 unit on it. I know the odds are not great, but I really am pretty damn confident. I like both these lines a lot. If Cheeto somehow loses a 30-27 to Zahabi, Cheeto will be on the forever ban list. I'm saying that right now. But anyway, that does it for that one. Next, I got another parlay. I took this plus 7.5 alternate spreads on girls that I think are pretty damn durable and I think are going to last. And I really don't see a reality where they lose a 30-27 unanimous decision. I do not see it. I really do not see a way for this to happen. Knock on wood, anything can happen. They're fist fights. Anyone can get knocked out. But for minus 213, I'm only human. I put it as a little cheeky line because they're all plus 7.5 alternate spreads. I got 3 of them parlayed up. I usually don't like doing 3-leg parlays or anything more than that, unless it's like a Hail Mary, obviously, right below it. But in terms of like actual anything serious, I don't like doing anything more than 2 legs usually. 3 is like pushing it, but I really do like these lines. I don't think Reinier is very dangerous at all. She's only beating up cans. Luciano's pretty damn durable. If Sam Hughes is not able to finish her, I don't see Reinier doing anything similar. And Charles Jourdain, we've only seen him knocked out by Silva. And then before that, he got submitted, I think it was like, 2019 or something? Long ass time ago. Those are the only 2 times he's ever been finished. Davey Grant is not a finisher. He doesn't have power in his hands. He doesn't have a ground game that's anything dangerous in this fight. Jourdain's going to be the better grappler in this spot. I don't see him getting finished at all. And same with Manon Fiorot. We've seen her go 5 rounds with a broken nose. As long as she can keep it on the feet for 1 round, she should beat Jasmine Jasudavicius. 1 single judge has to give her 1 round on the scorecards. If she can't do that with her 87% takedown defense against a takedown or bust fighter, I'll lose my mind. But that's why I like this spot a lot. Minus 213, half unit. Didn't put a full unit on this one because it's 3-legger. You had that added risk when you added another leg, so you always have that chance. So played it a little bit lighter, but I do like that spot a lot. I'm not going to lie. I really like it. I have it as cheeky, but I think it's pretty damn solid. And then I got a Hail Mary prop. I got Stephanie Luciano, Drew Dober moneyline, Charles Jourdain moneyline, Cody Gibson moneyline, Manon Fiorot moneyline, RDR money line, plus 787. Very, very small Hail Mary, 0.05 units total on this. Because I wanted to have something at least on Drew Dober and something on Cody Gibson. I didn't want to load up on them, but I just wanted them in there somewhere. And I'm like, all right, I got him in this little tiny little Hail Mary parlay. If we get to the point where we're riding on Cody Gibson to make, I don't know, 0.39 units, I'm happy just having that as my Cody Gibson bet of the night. If we get through all the earlier fights and it comes down to Cody Gibson, that's going to be my Cody Gibson play, and I'm not putting anything else on Cody Gibson, if that makes sense. Same with Manon Fiorot. If we get to this point, I'm happy just riding, nothing else on Manon Fiorot, because I know we talked about it earlier. I talked about if the fights go, depending on how the earlier fights go, might have to add a little action to Cody Gibson or Manon Fiorot. If we get to this parlay, if this parlay's still live, I'm letting it ride. Nothing else on those two. Same with RDR, honestly, because I already have, like, this last parlay. I have Drew Dober money line and RDR money line. This was just like I have to do it. Like, Drew Dober should beat Kyle Prepolec. If Drew Dober screws us on this one, it is what it is. I am not pissed taking Drew Dober pretty much in a coin toss bet. I know it's a 2-leg parlay, but I got Drew Dober pretty much as a coin toss bet here with RDR on the final fight of the night. If it gets to that point, like I said, I'm happy just staying off of RDR. I'm looking for more of a live betting opportunity anyway on RDR. That's why I didn't want to load up too heavy on him beforehand, because I think his line genuinely, I think there's a very good chance that RDR's money line goes from a -200 and tightens up. I don't know how much it might tighten up within the first round or two, but I think it will tighten up depending on the success that Brendan Allen's going to have. We've seen him be able to grapple guys like Imavov and Fluffy. We've seen him win rounds against these guys early on. So I think he could do the same against RDR. And if he wins that first round, it's going to tighten up. So I don't want to go too heavy on RDR before the fight, like pre-fight bets. I rather would wait for the live betting spot, because that's where the real value is, in my opinion, with RDR. So waiting on that, but got a little quarter unit, like I said, Drew Dober, RDR money line. Same, I got this little plus 787 parlay, relying on RDR final leg. If it gets that far, who knows, someone might sell, but if it gets that far, I'm happy letting this sit as my pre-fight bets, and then maybe going for a little small live money line on an RDR, maybe late round 1, early round 2, somewhere in there. But anyway, guys, that does it for the bets. That does it for the best bets video for UFC Vancouver. I hope you guys found some value. I hope you guys found some bets that you might like. Hopefully some lines stood out to you. If you got any lines that you guys really like, let me know in the comments. Drop them down below. Let me know what lines you guys are taking, what bets you really like. Maybe some bets that you don't like. You know, maybe if you agree with some of these, disagree with them. Let me know in the comments. I love having discussions with you guys about the stuff, so let me know. But anyway, I'm going to get this video out to you guys ASAP. I know it's a little bit later, almost 11:30 for your boy. The fights start at 4, so we'll have about 5 hours. Or 4.5, about at least 4 hours for this video. So hopefully you guys can see within time, before the fight starts, to hopefully get some value from this. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for all the love on the videos. The recent love on the videos has been absolutely insane. Thank you guys for all the love, the likes, the comments. It means a ton. It goes a long way. So thank you guys so much for the love on the videos. I'm going to get this one out to you. And yeah, once again, thank you guys. It's your boy Jacob from Topside MMA, and I'll see y'all soon. So peace.